The library claims to be the world's biggest collection of disappearing sounds. There was like the boing.
Just a beep. It doesn't have this sound. It's just like...
They had this... Hi and welcome to episode 39 of TechReview. Every week we gather to discuss the hottest topics in technology, innovation and social media. On camera 4 today we have... camera 4, there is Chris. On camera 2, there is Henrike. On camera 1, hi, this is me, I'm Tarek. And of course, you can follow us on one of our many social media channels, since we are a collaboration of Ideas Engineering, Free Tech Academy and Update.com. You can watch all of our episodes on YouTube, but if you prefer to just listen to our beautiful voices while working out, driving a car or flying through space, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and of course all major podcast platforms. So, what happened this week? Let's start with Henrike.
Hui. Which one is it?
Check out this library of obsolete sounds.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's a rather short article, but the library of obsolete sounds is what's interesting about it. So I saw this article in The Verge, for those of you who are just listening to us. And the library claims to be the world's biggest collection of disappearing sounds, or sounds that are soon to become obsolete. So far, they have over 150 sounds available. Also, some remixes from artists who make use of these rare sounds and make something new out of it, and also some information about it. If you scroll down, there's at the end of the article is the link to the library, actually. And I found it really interesting going through this library because I saw something like examples like the Nokia 8210 ringtone, which is very famous.
Is it this?
There is this. Yes, exactly. You can also find the sound of a modem connecting to the internet.
Amazing.
What I also found interesting is like a light switch. But then I was like, oh yeah, if you have like rooms where the light goes on and off automatically, you do not have the sound of a light switch anymore. So also soon to become obsolete. There was a coffee grinder, old cash register. There's so many interesting sounds there. What I found really funny was a shepherd singing to his sheep. It's also in there. And I mean, it makes sense. It's like a very, it's a dying kind of profession, probably. So soon this also nobody will make use of that anymore. So I just thought I bring this here because for me, immediately, I also thought about sounds that I haven't found in there yet, but are from the past where I'm when I think about it, I haven't heard these sounds in a while. For example, when you rewind a cassette, that was one of the first things. It's also very, 20 years ago, this was all around. And now it's haven't had that in a while. And then I also thought about the 2000s when I saw this Nokia ringtone. I thought about the times where you had foldable cell phones. Yeah. And, this, there was also, exactly. And all the Yamba ringtones that you could buy back then, very monotone, or then at some point it was also dual kind of tone, and not every phone was able to play these. And so it's super fun to go through this library and also think about what tones are actually still missing there. Yeah. And I just wanted to bring it here because maybe you also instantly have now a sound in mind that you're I haven't had this in a while, and due to technology and new products, and it's just gone and it's not needed anymore.
Right, especially when you say phone, it's true. I immediately thought about the ringer phones where you pull the number. I actually grew up with this when I was a child. This. And later,
exactly.
the dials from the telephone. You have the phone in your hand, and then it makes. Today, you don't hear it anymore because you don't dial. You have people in your contact list. You click, and then the person is on the line. Yeah, absolutely. And the dial-up modem, yeah, it was the most joyous sound because I was finally back on the internet.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like I found it interesting because it's a no-brainer actually when you think about it, that some sounds are just becoming obsolete, but it's we're not really aware of that most of the time, because when you think about technology progress and new stuff, you think about how a product changes, how the experience in itself changes, but that it's also connected to our senses, and that like certain sounds are then just gone and not needed anymore. That is that I found really really cool to be reminded of due to this library now.
Yeah.
But some sounds also come back, right? If you think about like the scratching on vinyl discs. So that was annoying at that certain point in time in the 70s, 80s. But now actually this is coming back. So people actually take this scratching sound again and do it or underlie it actually under their tracks just to make it a little bit more authentic or
lo-fi,
a little bit more
it's true. It's this sense of nostalgia and the good old times. But I know on TikTok there are so many videos where parents are sitting down with their young children and they show like a certain sound separates our generations, and they play, for example, this modem screeching sound, and you see the father like smiling and being happy, and the child has no idea what this means.
Tell me
what is this about? Right. Yeah.
Or
there was one example.
That was also, or the floppy disk 1541, right? When so do you remember that, the Commodore?
Absolutely.
64?
Yeah, that's where I learned programming.
All right, yeah. And even a little bit before that, there was the test build and just the beep.
Yes.
So, and also test build, that is something, I mean, that is a visual thing, but that has gone, right? And nobody knows that if they have born after 2000 or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or the analog TV, right? You had to move like the antenna, and then you had the static scratching in the background and the poor image, but you were happy because you were able to see something. Yeah.
Oh, and there was also always the noise with these old TVs when you turned them on, that there was like the boing. I don't know how to describe it. This sound to it when it was actually then on, and that now you just press the button and it's there. You do not have this background noise.
After this episode, I'm going to have to make a super cut of all of us trying to imitate these sounds, like boing.
Yeah, this boing was really top notch now. Nailed it.
We can create like an alternative library of people imitating old sounds that do not exist anymore. Or like the first instant messenger that I used was ICQ, and they had this these sound effects when you get a message, and it was always like, oh my god, someone is messaging me.
Yeah, but sometimes sounds are also useful, right? Like if you think about the electrification of cars, for instance.
Yeah.
So they are so quiet, and you do not recognize them, even if they are like just behind you. And of course, it is also a little bit dangerous. So of course, people don't get it, that they are actually more or less being crashed by a car in the next moment. So I think there's even the idea of taking motor sounds back, digital motor sounds, into the electric cars, just to give an idea to the foot
pedestrians,
guys, pedestrians, that actually car is coming over. So that might be helpful.
Or like one of those obsolete sounds. I mean, doesn't Tesla also have like a customizable
the horn
honking noises? And if you like now have this library of these sounds that are like disappearing, and you, instead of like having the motor sound, but maybe like a toilet flush actually was also in this list. And I thought, how is this disappearing? Like toilet flush sound is still around. But if the car announces itself with this kind of distinctive sound, I mean, it could be a funny variety on our streets.
It's a great upselling feature. You sell like more. You pay more for your car, and for this you get this custom library of honking sounds, or even the engine sound. Yeah. So if you pay more, your engine sounds more expensive.
Yeah.
And you can hack in there and you get like
Chris is not a fan.
Right?
The Nokia honk. If you honk, then it makes
yeah, but this doesn't sound dangerous, right? So if you hear, or maybe just like bird voices or something. So if you just hear that, you probably like wouldn't be alert. And
oh, that's nice.
It's true.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but the thing is, it doesn't have this sound. It's just like
true.
Then you're.
Yeah, this is very true, Chris.
Yeah, there was this this advertisement. So I think it was called "The Sound of Silence" or something. And you saw all those cars driving without any noise, and I thought, wow, is that really the future I want to live in? Like, quiet future, you don't hear the cars, you're just being crashed by them, but you don't recognize. At least not from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think silence is not really the thing that people want to have. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure people are going to invent these libraries of custom sounds, and people enjoy the sound of an engine, right? And so they will create this as a feature. And in the future, you will not hear the engine anymore, but the sound design results of the sound designer. And they say this is the great, pleasing sound of the Tesla, even though you do not hear the Tesla. It's like an MP3 or something. Very nice. Very good. I did not know this. I'm going to browse through this and I will customize all my system sounds with Nokia and ICQ sounds. If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news.
And now, this.
Let's jump to my link. A bot that watched 70,000 hours of Minecraft could unlock AI's next big thing. And what we are talking about here is imitation learning. Imitation learning can be used to train AI to control, for example, robot arms or drive cars or navigate web pages, like imitation. The researchers that worked on this first hired crowd workers to play Minecraft for this example, and they recorded their keyboard and mouse clicks alongside the video, so while the video was recording. And this gave them 2,000 hours of annotated Minecraft play, which they used then to match actions to these on-screen outcomes. Usually imitation learning requires labeled videos, where each action and matching outcome is labeled, like doing this action makes this happen and doing that action makes that happen, and so on. And this is, of course, a lot of manual labor, and that's why it's so hard to create this data for training the AI. And the team at OpenAI, they uses this new approach called pre-training or VPT. And this is really amazing. They are training another neural network to do this labeling work instead of the workers. So we basically let one AI train another AI. And the idea is that VPT is capable to train bots how to use, for example, websites for booking flights or buying groceries, but also like training robots to do physical things by observing how people are doing this. And I'm so curious to see if one day this means that computers or AI can work these two approaches together, where in real time a human instructor can simply show the machine how a task is done, and the machine is observing and understanding out of this context. And this prototype is really, really amazing by automating the training process of the machine. So literally having an IA train another AI. Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
I was just waiting to do this. Yeah, but it's true.
To sum it up,
yeah, I mean, so far it's always this this thing, we are building an AI and are afraid of this, but we only have to worry about the AI that we created. And now we are training AIs to train other AIs. So what could go wrong? Chris, any thoughts?
Can go wrong, will go wrong.
And you can sum that up, right? So this is just the first level of AI teaching AIs. So you could have various hierarchies in between, and the whole thing is getting more complex and complex, and in the end you really have the Terminator situation.
Yeah, and
it's not only science fiction, so it is in the long run might be a possibility, even if it was not meant like that.
Yeah, and I really like that they are working with Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft is not created to train AIs, but Minecraft is a great tool. And I think a lot of researchers are using Minecraft to train their machines because it's a very simple application. It's a simple 3D animated world. But the great thing is that you can do a lot of things in there and you have this open world character. Usually, if you're doing reinforcement learning, you have to define a specific outcome. Yeah, so one routine leads to a certain outcome, but this is very limited because you have a very strict set of applications. In an open world, you have these actions that cause a reaction and a result, but in this open world scenario where basically the machine can freely decide to walk straight ahead or turn left or something and use a tool to mine something in Minecraft, yeah. And so it's really a great playground for AI researchers to let their AI run free and learn the game by itself.
And now, this.
Let's jump to Chris and Meta's new diplomacy agent.
Yeah, that's actually quite cool. So it's called CICERO. It's indeed a new AI system presented by Meta. And the cool thing is that it can negotiate with people in natural language and convince them of strategies, cooperate with them. And they actually have checked that in a test environment, which is a strategy board, a game actually, and it's called Diplomacy. So the name is the program here. And so indeed, according to Meta, CICERO is the first language AI that can or was able to play on a merely human level, right? So in this game, in diplomacy, so the players actually negotiate the European balance before the First World War, right? So that's, of course, a highly diplomatic thing there. And CICERO actually was playing, I think, 40 online games, 72 hours, and it achieved more than twice the average score of human players, and therewith belong to the top 10%. And in this online game, CICERO encountered 82 different human players, and by all of the other players, it was recognized as a human player. And that was really quite striking, especially since the whole thing is, as said, being based on natural language, right? So, and the core of the system is actually being based on two platforms, so to say. So it's CICERO actually works with two systems, and one plans the moves for you and the partner, and the second system actually converts the moves then into natural language and explains them to the other players. And it's trying to convince the other players of your own strategy and everything. So this is the diplomatic natural language aspect, right? And so what the whole thing actually is used for, or actually is being based upon, is this planning algorithm, right? And this optimizes the initial strategy, which is being based on some kind of forecast of the system of CICERO, and at the same time, it tries to stay close to its original prediction, right? So on the one hand, it optimizes the initial strategy, but it tries to stay close to the original prediction. And the whole thing is that the module actually predicts the strategy of the other players based on the current game state and on the previous dialogues that had been made by the other players. And so this is what the whole system is more or less about. And according to Meta, the future use case, so to say, so the possible application scenario for a CICERO-like system is, of course, like some kind of advanced digital assistant environment, right? Where the bot, so to say, is able to hold longer and coherent conversations with the customer and with the people on the other end of the line. So that's more or less the idea. So the whole gaming thing is more or less the training area for a diplomatic bot that is able to deal with customers.
My first thought was, can I use this for negotiating salaries, for example? So having like this negotiation bot. And I mean, maybe, and this is of course just brainstorming, maybe in the future this will actually be a thing where you feed your negotiation AI with your parameters, like your CV and your special skills and everything. And then this one goes into negotiation with the HR bot of your future employer, and they can actually get the best deal out of both worlds. Maybe it's not exactly what they had in mind with this bot, but this was the first thing that came into my mind, because I personally, I don't enjoy negotiating, right? And so I could imagine I want to have a bot doing this for me, like heckling on the market or something.
Yeah, and I mean, also in terms, not just if you like to do it, but also if you're skilled to do it. Not every one of us is a good negotiator, whether we like it or not. So this could also lead to at least a little bit more of fairness when it comes to negotiating salary, if we take that example, because it's independent from whether you as a person have this soft skill or, you make use of an AI who just like based on the facts is kind of negotiating for you. I would use that as well.
I'm not quite sure, because, I mean, on the other hand, if you actually have like two bots, two AIs negotiating with each other, so then that would probably flow into some kind of, in acoustics, you would call it a resonance catastrophe. So, because there's always one ringing the bell and the other one picks it up, and then it's going up and up and up and up, and then you're negotiating in that direction, and the other one picks it up and has another argument, and you have your argument against that. And so who can win in a system like that?
Yeah, but I mean, technically it's the same with human beings. If you have people who are not willing to give leeway in their arguments and they simply do not move from their position, you can also have this checkmate situation where people simply stand on your opinion and there's no way back and forth, right? And so I could imagine that if you automate this with bots, you can at least make sure that at some point of time they, I don't know, finish in a positive sense. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can set the parameters that way that in the middle run there might be also the option of not giving up but giving in, maybe. Yeah.
But then again,
compromise at a certain level.
Yeah. But that should be then in for both of the parties, right? So
yeah. But I mean, on the one hand, the sounds...
just for the employer, not the employee.
Now we're at the point.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about, it's probably not a good idea to use this for things like salary negotiation, because right now I can negotiate my salary by my personal skill and I can train to become a better negotiator. But if we take these systems in the future that negotiate things like salary, then I have a problem if I don't have the budget to buy a high-grade negotiation bot, while my really rich employer has like the most advanced AI for negotiating, and suddenly I have to work for free because the bots negotiated this way, and that's probably another bad thing where someone with a lot of budget can simply outbuy the bot of the other side. So
it's like it always was. Money rules the world.
Right, exactly.
And the crazy thing is, in that sense, you don't even have any influence on the outcome. You just like put your bot into the game, and then you have to actually take what it grabs out, or what it manages for you. And if that is not the wished result, then there is no need or no possibility actually for you to change that. And that's not really a future I would like to live in.
Yeah.
It's funny how, like, from a first initial good idea, we now realize, like, no, maybe better not.
Yeah, but in terms of strategy bot, the other scenario that pops into my mind is war games, like the movie War Games, where the computer plays this game of nuclear war and simulating what's the winning strategy out of this. And even though this bot is now about negotiation strategies, not military strategies, I could imagine that it works similar, like anticipating certain arguments and preparing for them and going this route or this route, and by training, learning how to beat your opponent with certain arguments. Yeah, so I would be really curious to see how this model about this is actually working, and if it's only working good with human beings, or as Chris said, if there is a problem when AIs are trying to outmaneuver themselves because they are not behaving in a psychological human way. Yeah, so it might be that this is actually optimized for human, or like outperforming human people.
It's funny because I had the same association, not really war games, but also war games in another sense. And that is a discussion that we had like many years ago already, which is the putting AI into military like strategies on the one hand, but also into the weapons, of course, right? So if you have like the systems on the borders, and there you have like the superpowers standing face to face to each other, and then everybody is just waiting that the other side actually would do some kind of failure, right? And if you have like human opponents on the one hand, and on the other hand, on the other side, then they would think about a reaction as an answer to an action on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe they would not press the button because they think, okay, before I do that, I will really be sure. And I could imagine that was not meant the way from the other side, and let's wait a while. But with a machine, with an AI, it's really just cool thinking, just cool strategies. So, and if you actually see a little weakness on the other side, then you have a little advantage at that moment, and then you do not have to wait. You just have to actually press the button.
Yeah.
That is the scenario we have discussed more than once. And the dangerous thing at the moment, I think, which is going on there in the discussion among the militaries, is that the Americans say, yeah, we have to go into AI with our weapons because the other side does the same thing. And they won't stop. So we have to do it ourselves. And although I read an article about that, half of them also of the people are in the military are not really like feeling good and not feeling well about that. The other half says, yeah, but we have to do it. So if we don't do it, then we are definitely weaker because we only have humans on our side. So if there's a mistake on our side, the other side will take advantage of that because they have AIs and they are quicker. And if they start their rockets, then we do not have the chance to do the same. So the second winner is the first loser. So, and this is why they put their AIs then also on the borderline and on the front line. And of course, that is some kind of danger because you do not have the human controlling instance in there.
Right.
And it's of course another concept, it's another environment, but the idea is the same, right? You have like just two systems working, fighting against each other, and then as said, in the end it might lead to some kind of catastrophe. You know what I mean?
Catastrophe.
Catastrophe.
It's late.
Yeah,
we started training the AI. Now we have AI training another AI, and in the future we will have the AI training human beings in like war strategies.
Yeah, but here again the question is why, or in the middle run, where and why would you need humans any longer?
Yeah, right. If
you actually erase the human aspect on every level. Yeah.
That's probably the title of this episode. Erase the human element on all levels.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Lovely episode, lovely special today.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you read about the people who are frightened about AI taking over and stuff, and they say, that takes at least 100 years or at least 50 years or so, because that's so complex. But if I read, and I mean, we're in that, right? We see that every day. We see the DALL-E, and first it was just the pictures. Now we have the 3D models, which are being created by AIs. And it does not take long. Now they're even creating movies, I read.
Yeah.
And it does not take long until they create then whole environments. So you would not need humans any longer. Maybe not this year and next year, but then in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years time. So we shouldn't have any illusions on that. AIs will get there if we do not stop them. But if you can actually scale that to any aspect of life, right? So like from art, as we just discussed it many times, till the military sector, and I mean, and the working sector, of course, as well. And if you take that higher and higher and higher level-wise, then in the long run, we could ask ourselves, why do we need the humans any longer? And if we actually ask ourselves this question, then a sophisticated AI could ask itself this question too.
Thanks for these happy
Great
thoughts.
finishing sentence.
Okay, time to finish. So.
Right, time to wrap it up. But thanks for these very beautiful images for tonight. I'm definitely not going to sleep tonight. Yeah, but thanks for your links on this short episode 39 today. And thanks for everyone for tuning in, and see and hear you next week. Bye.